Hello, this is Fear Dragon, and welcome to Breaking Out, the show about North American StarCraft 2 players. Here on this show, we take a look at an up-and-coming North American talent. Each week, we check out a new player to get a feel for their personality and their playstyle. On Thursday, we interview the player to find out more about who they are and why you should care about them. On Friday, we watch 3 of their games as we cover their playstyle in each of the 3 matchups. Saturday, we take a look at an awesome game they played and relax with a little bit of fun as we recap the week and get an analysis of the games. Breaking Out will cover 8 players before it culminates into the Breakout Invitational. With a minimum prize pool of $1,000, we find out who is the most likely player to break out of the North American scene. But enough of that. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Hope you guys enjoy the show.
Mom, the meatloaf! Mom! That woman can't take it. My name is Kevin Siphonn, and I am a 19-year-old Protoss player, currently ranked in the top 50 of Grandmaster. What do I do for a living? Well, I currently go to school full-time at a nearby community college majoring in engineering, and I also work full-time as a auto detailer. So I'm really busy, but I still have time to play some StarCraft, compete, and that's really my hobby. It's what I love to do. The most interesting fact about myself that I could think of, I'm really outgoing, especially when I meet new people. And also, I was a professional Call of Duty player before I played StarCraft, and I've been playing competitively in gaming for about 6 years now, ever since I was 13 years old. So, I guess that's interesting. My playstyle, I'm pretty aggressive, you could say. I'm definitely not afraid to all-in you, and I'm definitely not afraid to macro-verse you. If you do play me, I'd say prepare for both, but even if you prepare for my all-ins, you still won't be able to stop them. Why do I deserve the chance to be the next breakout player? I've always been, I guess, a notable name within the North American scene. I really gained a little bit more notoriety when I qualified for WCS North America 2012 in the last qualifier. I got second in 3 of the qualifiers before that. And at that tournament, I did lose pretty badly in WCS, but I made a really good run in the MLG Open Bracket. I beat Liquid Hey Pro 2-1. That's really when I first got noticed a little bit. And then I also participated in IEM Katowice. I got a spot through the IEM America qualifiers because a couple players didn't take their spots. So I made it all the way to stage 3, beating Trimaster, QXC, I believe, at one point. So, I mean, I do have the chance to, be good, per se, or shine in the spotlight, but I just haven't really got there yet, and I feel like this tournament would be like a really good opportunity for me to do it. StarCraft, it means a lot to me. I've been playing around the end of 2011, 2012, or beginning of 2012, seriously. I love the game. I quit before because I was been so busy working in school and juggling them too. But I came back basically a little bit after 2 months because I honestly couldn't stop playing. I like the game a lot. It just like challenges me. It makes me think more, and I don't like mindless entertainment. I like thinking and actually doing something. And that's really it. Thanks for watching. I hope I get the chance to be in the Breakout Invitational. Take care.
Hello everyone, welcome to Breaking Out, a show about North American StarCraft 2 players that you need to know about. Today on the show, we are going to be looking at the very confident North American Protoss player that has been in competitive gaming since he was 13 years old. Representing Deimos Esports, we have the 19-year-old American Protoss player. Please give a warm welcome to Kevin Siphonn. How you're doing today, man? And did I pronounce your last name right?
Yes, you did. I'm doing pretty well. Pretty tired
Spot
after a
on.
long day, but I'm glad to be here.
It's good to have you, man. And I just realized. So the reason why, guys, I was looking off in this direction is because I actually have a totally new setup. You can see that I have a green screen and everything, all crazy stuff going on now. So production quality just got upped. I'm also going to be constantly looking at the wrong webcam because now I have 2 webcams set up. It's pretty crazy. But really quickly, guys, for anyone that is tuning in to Breaking Out for the first time, Breaking Out is a show, again, about North American StarCraft 2 players that are up and coming in the scene. The basic idea is that over the course of 3 days, we get to learn a little bit more about a different player each week. This week, we're doing Deimos Siphonn over here, and we're going to do a Thursday interview. That's today. So we get to get a better feel for the kind of player, their background, their history, the kind of person that they are. And then on Friday, we actually go and just cover one game from each one of their matchups. So for Siphonn over here, it's going to be PvZ, PvT, PvP. We cast one game, get a feel for how they actually play in the series. And then on Saturday, we just kind of sit back, have a little bit more fun. We watch an awesome game. We play some arcade games with a bunch of guests, including Rifkin from Base Trade. We have Tempo. We have Boisterous SC2. A bunch of people coming in, as well as Ryan Shetter, developer of the game that we play, which is Pure CTF. And then we actually just get to sit down and do super in-depth analysis with Siphonn or whoever the player is, and actually jumping into the replays and get their thoughts on it to miss all those awesome details about the games that people like me completely miss because I'm just a caster and he's the player, and there's a reason for that because he's a lot smarter than me. But yeah, with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and jump straight into the interview. So first of all, I mean, Siphonn, right before this, we actually just played the application video for you. Tell us, I just want to ask you a little bit more about that. So, what prompted you to do that intro?
What calls me to do it?
What prompted you to do the intro? Were you like calling your mom?
Well, I seen Wedding Crashers the night before. So I mean, I love that movie. I watch it all the time. So I was like, you know what? Let me start off with something interesting. So I did a little bit of a Will Ferrell skit where in the movie he like calls his mom. He lives with his mom. Calls for the meatloaf. So I was like, fuck it, why not?
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed it, man. But on to, I guess, the more serious question. So, in your application video, you did sort of mention that you had been in esports for a pretty decent amount of time, especially considering you're just like 19 years old. Been in there since like the age of 13. It's been like 6 years, and you used to play Call of Duty professionally. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Back in middle school, it was around 2006, I think, is when I made my account on GameBattles.com. It was basically like an affiliate site of MLG. So they hosted tournaments, stuff like that. I mean, I just got into it with my friends from school. This was like during the off season for football, so we needed something to do. And we didn't live by each other, so it'd be hard with no cars since we were still so young to like get around and hang out. So we all started like playing Call of Duty, like competitively. We're like on like a team ladder for fun on this website. So it kind of all started there with my friends. And then since it's like an affiliate with MLG, that's when you start getting into like the competitive atmosphere, like esports. Mm-hmm. So back in the day, it was just like 1v1 tournaments, stuff like that for fun. And then I wound up actually placing in them. And then I started winning them consistently. I remember I won 3 in 1 week before. And that was just that. And at probably around 15 years old, each one of the first prizes was like around 125. So that when I got like the check for like around $400, it felt pretty nice. So I kept playing, kept trying to improve. And then I basically stopped playing Call of Duty when I was around 16. My total winnings were around, I'd say 3,000 from just 1v1 tournaments. From like team tournaments and stuff, me and my friends went to like local LANs. But like I never went to like a huge MLG and placed high. But I did play like on online cups, like Machinima's Frag Cup. I got second in that. I was the team captain for my team, Intellect at the time. So, I mean, I've just been playing Call of Duty from when I was like 13 to, I'd say late 16 or like early 17. That's when I started getting into StarCraft. So.
Yeah, so you were actually saying that you didn't really get a chance to like attend the big MLGs and stuff. But was that more just because, I mean, obviously, again, you were 13 when you started doing all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, travel reasons was definitely it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I guess StarCraft is sort of now your opportunity to get more into that. Because, I mean, you've actually been able to attend a lot of different big events in StarCraft. I mean, from IEMs to, I think, oh, God, I'm trying to remember some of the other events that I saw that you had attended.
MLGs.
MLGs. Like, you've gone to Europe for a IEM. That's, like, super duper awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet.
Yeah, so that's really cool. Are you still playing Call of Duty at all? I'm just curious.
whenever I like hang out with my friends, maybe like for fun here and there, I'm not nearly as good as I used to be. Kind of suck now, like compared to everyone else. But
It's bound to happen.
it's still fun if I ever play with my friends and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
sometimes.
Yeah. And I mean, transferring over from one game to another, I mean, really different games as well. I mean, you hear about like some
Yeah.
players who play StarCraft like transitioning over to MOBAs, and there's like some similarities. Like, did you pick up anything that you found like useful, either
Well,
in-game skill wise or like even just mentality wise?
mentality wise is probably the biggest thing. You know, even when I'm down, just think of like going into like the new game fresh, stuff like that.
Hmm.
Mentality experience is definitely the biggest thing because I transitioned from console, Xbox 360 to PC, and that was hard in itself.
Oh man.
Yeah, I first got into StarCraft, which is what made me transition is because I was watching like a Call of Duty MLG event, and then StarCraft 2. This was I remember the first game I've ever watched. It was Sake versus I think Jinro on the one desert map
Oh,
where like the two
Desert
bases were like
Oasis.
Desert Oasis, yes.
The one where
And
you have a backdoor rock to your
yeah,
teammate.
yeah.
Oh my
Yeah, that was the
god.
first game I've ever watched and it just looked like a fun game, so I started watching YouTube videos, stuff like that. And then after picking the game up, I actually had to buy a graphics card just to play it for my PC because it was bad. My PC was shit. So bought the game and then after 4 months I got masters. But definitely the thing that carried over was definitely mentality, experience, stuff like that. I didn't have any like keyboard and mouse skills. Like my APM was like 60, so I mean it wasn't no other skills really
That's
carried over.
That's impressive though. I mean, like going from console gaming to like PC gaming to the point where like you didn't really even have a graphics card that could play the game, and then
Yeah.
you like got into masters like relatively quickly. I have to say, like,
Hmm.
would you say that also you would just kind of attribute that also to I guess the mentality stuff that you learned, like how to practice and get better at things? Or...
Yeah, yeah, I would say so. I did watch a lot of high level videos. Like whenever I wasn't at school, working, I was just watching StarCraft, playing StarCraft, like trying to get as good as possible because I wanted to compete in that game. I already had the mentality of like playing at a high level. Like
Yeah.
I hate being bad at games. Like I don't care what it is. Like I could go over to my friend's house, play Madden, and then like he plays all the time, so he's better than me. But I want to learn and actually like get better and beat him. So I mean, I just have that mentality where I want to be the best at literally everything I do. So I mean, that probably helped me get or improve rather quickly, I'd say.
That's awesome, man. That'll take you far in life. That kind of mentality.
Yeah.
But cool. So I did want to ask. You've obviously been involved in professional gaming and like esports and actually literally making money in gaming for a while. Are your parents familiar with your involvement at all, or do they just kind of say like, "Oh, where did you get that money to buy all this other random stuff?" I
No,
guess
they're
he's just finding it on the street.
yeah, right. No, they're pretty. My mom's not as familiar as my dad. Like my dad knows some of the players, stuff like that, because right when I started playing StarCraft, and even when I was playing Call of Duty, he went with me to tournaments because I was still pretty young, 16 years old, and he didn't let me go by myself. So I remember me and him, we drove up to MLG Columbus, and that's about a 8-9 hour drive. So I mean, my dad definitely supports me in what I do. Sometimes he'd rather want me to focus a lot more on school and work because I'm busy as it is, and he just wants me to put as much time and like focus on school as possible. But other than that, he's really supportive. Whenever I'm in a tournament, he like tries to like keep up and get updates on it. He asks me how I'm doing all the time whenever I'm away, like texts me stuff like that. So my dad definitely, he's always helped me out, which is pretty awesome. He doesn't really know like how the game works or anything like that, but he definitely supports me individually and how I do. So it's cool.
Yeah, and I mean, again, you've gone to like a lot of different events, some sort of more local, like say MLG Columbus and stuff, but you've also gone to like a little bit further out, like New York. You've gone to Europe. Did your parents have any kind of involvement in like supporting you and allowing you to go out there? Because I mean, it wasn't just like you attended IEM like as a spectator. Like you actually got to compete in those events.
Yeah, I was actually in group stages. I made it to I think stage three of the IM Katowice
Hmm.
qualifiers, all the way from stage one. I beat Hello Kitty, I
Yeah.
think 2-0 or 2-1. I forget. It's a long time ago. Um, beat him 2-1. Then I beat Trimaster, Complexity Rise. QXC. Actually, no, QXC
Kawhi
beat me.
Rice. Yeah, QXC. I
Kawhi,
think
yeah,
beat you.
QXC beat
Kawhi
me.
Rice, you had
Yeah,
beaten.
I played QXC though. I remember
Yeah.
that. I beat Kawhi Rice, Trimaster, um, Complexity Rise, and I think one other player to make it to stage three. And then stage three, I actually lost to Golden, and then lost to Axlav 2-1. But the thing was, I think one of the players couldn't take the seed that they. Oh, Killer.
Oh.
Felipe, yeah, Felipe. He couldn't take the seed, so it got passed down. Suppy couldn't do it. QXC couldn't do it because he was already hired as a caster for the event.
Mm-hmm.
So due to
Yeah.
restrictions, he couldn't do it. Axlab couldn't go because his thing at MLG. So it got passed down to me, and this was on a week notice. I had no passport, nothing like that. But I thought it would be a really sick opportunity. I didn't think I was gonna make it out of my group at all. Even like no matter who I played, I was playing well, but not the best I've been playing.
Mm-hmm.
So I just really wanted to go. I'd never been to Europe before. I thought about it more of like as an experience, more so than as like a competition. Mm-hmm. So I just really went there, enjoyed my time. I knew I was coming back with at least some money because I think just for being in groups, it was a minimum of $650, and my plane ticket was about $750, and actually it was $900 because they actually included a stipend. So plane ticket was about $700. So I mean, I literally went to Poland and won $200.
That's a good deal, man.
I couldn't complain, man. So it was definitely one of the best times of my life, just being there in that arena. The Spodek's pretty awesome, and they're having the next IM Katowice, the winner takes all tournament there pretty soon. So if anyone like goes to that, that's definitely an event to travel to. The crowd's nuts. It's just a crazy place to be, and it was great to be there.
Yeah, I mean, just esports crowds in general. I mean, you get like a little bit of an idea from it from the streams and stuff, but it's like it's totally different to be
in person.
There.
In person, it's pretty crazy. So
yeah, cool. So I did also want to ask, sort of on a different tangent. Kind of talked about some of the high like points of you're saying like best, awesome, coolest things that have happened, like going to these events and stuff. But you also mentioned that in your application, there was a point in time where you sort of just kind of quit StarCraft for a while, and you eventually came back because you said you sort of loved the game. But like, what happened there, and what made you come back?
Well, I was getting pretty overwhelmed because I started a full-time job because I work 40 hours a week, sometimes maybe even 45, and I also go to school full-time. So I was pretty overwhelmed right in the beginning because this was like right in the beginning, like when school started, and it was just very, very overwhelming. And with StarCraft, you can't play like 2 games a day and expect to be able to compete with the top 50 in North America, like consistently. So I kind of just thought, I did what I had to do. I've enjoyed the time I've put in, just give it up, whatever like that. And then after around 2 months of like not really playing, just watching the streams and stuff like that, I forget what tournament I watched, but I think it just like lit a spark back in me, and I started playing more and more. I got back in the GM, played EU. I beat a couple good players, and then I was like, it's been 2 weeks and I'm beating players that I used to beat back in the day that are pretty good. So I was like, maybe I can balance everything, and then I've been doing that ever since. I quit after IM New York City, and then basically 2 months after that, I rejoined. I didn't rejoin. I joined Deimos, and that's where I am today. So I mean, about 2 month break I took just from being overwhelmed, but I'm trying to balance everything the best I could. It's still really tough. It's basically doing 3 things full time because I want to put as much time in the StarCraft as possible, but I'm also at school 4 days a week. I'm at work 5 days a week. I work 13 hours every single Saturday, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. So it's really tough. I don't sleep a lot, but I do what I got to do. So I'm making the best of it.
Yeah, that's the attitude that you got to have, and I guess the mentality of a winner. But I mean, how do you manage to balance it at all? Like, I know people who literally probably play StarCraft like 5 to 6 hours a day, maybe like 4 hours a day, and they're like still stuck in gold. So like, what are you doing like that allows you to actually balance like both school, which I believe you said you're going to a community college for engineering. You're also working full time at a car dealership, and
Yeah.
you're also playing StarCraft. Like, how do you balance that time wise? I guess
I don't sleep.
that's the secret.
To be clear, yeah. I mean, I probably get on average maybe around 5 hours a night. I'd say I slept 4 hours
Oh,
last
man.
night. Um, Not really. I mean, I could take a nap in between school and work, maybe for like an hour, but that's about it. Um, but just making the best of like my practice when I do play. I've never really watched my replays before, other than like since a month ago. I've been starting to actually like analyze stuff and watching VODs more so than playing games, like watching Pro League, watching like high level gameplays where I could actually learn new builds, stuff like that, because that's what Protoss is based around. And my mechanics have gotten to a point where like they don't really matter anymore. It's really just about like my like game decision like
Decision
making.
making,
It's
yeah.
about my it's not about like my micro or anything with my macro. I just need to learn like when to do this, when to do that. Should I go in? Should I go for the attack? Should I defend? Should I macro up? Stuff like that. It's really about decision making and like just experience, and watching players at like high levels gives you like that experience. Like what did Zest do at this spot?
Mm-hmm.
What does Rain do here? So it's kind of just like just like get a feel for what's best and like what you should do. And that's really what I try to improve on now, more so than my micro and my macro.
Yeah,
So,
time efficiency.
exactly.
I,
When I play, yeah.
that's so. I mean, I guess kind of we're jumping a little bit ahead, but how exactly do your practice like how does your practice time kind of get broken down? Is it a lot of grinding out on the ladder? Is it like a lot of practice partners, or like how much of it is watching these videos and stuff?
I'd say 50% ladder,
Mm-hmm.
50% watching videos. I don't really do custom games with my teammates. You'll actually, to be put, the community thinks, oh wow, like these players are on teams, they must practice all the time, stuff like that. Like they must do team practices, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Demos, as of now, we don't do any team practice at all. We don't have any scheduled, but we are starting that. I believe next week it will be on Thursday nights,
Oh, cool.
and that's just the start. It'll go I think 2 days a week after that, but we are starting that. But I've never really been the one to grind out custom games unless I'm preparing for something. I played with Guitar Cheese a couple games when I had to play Kane and MLG. Um, I didn't prepare well enough because I got too owed, but I did make a lot of mistakes in those games that I don't normally make,
Mm-hmm.
and it's probably pretty obvious by the VODs.
Kane's also like
But
he's kind of known for being good.
yeah. But I mean, I beat him before. Like I played him in one tournament. I think 2 weeks before that, or like maybe 3 weeks. He beat me in 1-2, but like the games I lost were still really close. So I was actually
Yeah.
pretty confident going in. But he's a good player, so no shame in losing to him.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I only really play customs when I'm preparing for something.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm preparing for PvP, I might ask Bales, Saravati. He's on Clarity. He's a
Yeah.
really, really good player. He won first breaking out.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, me, him, and Bales kind of talk sometimes whenever like we discuss anything.
Yeah, you
So
guys were
those are
on
my two
Clarity,
go-to
right?
guys.
Before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are like kind of my two go-to guys for PvP and stuff like that. PvT, Elige, he's really good. Um, and then PvZ, I kind of just ask around. So
Yeah, cool. So I guess moving on to the next topic, it's sort of the similar line of thought, but like, can you break down like what your normal day is like? Like, how much time is actually spent like going to school? How much time are you actually like working on like a normal day or something? And how much time are you actually getting to practice?
okay, so my only day off from school and work, like everything, is Sunday. That's kind of like the day where I try and play as much as I can. Um, like go over VOD, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I have school, and Thursday night class, and I have to get up at 7:30, at school by 8, and then I'm there until 1, and then I work from 3 to 10 at night. So, um, take like a nap usually in between school and work. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I don't really play too much. Um, and Tuesday and Thursday, I don't have school, so I try and play before work when I can. Saturdays, I usually I work all day, and then that's when I try and hang out with my friends. So I actually don't get too much like practice time, but I'm trying to make it work. So
Okay,
yeah, it's really
I've got to
it's
say, man, you're doing a good job with it because I mean, I have seen a lot of heads sort of turned by your name. So
mhm.
if it's anything, um, but yeah. So the next kind of topic I want to talk about was what do you feel like has been your biggest achievement in StarCraft 2 up until this point?
Okay. So I've been to Europe. That was pretty cool. Um, but I feel like achievements aren't really measured so much in how much money you've won or like where you've been, like playing wise, but like the important games that you win that are like important to the player. Like I um I beat Liquid Hey Pro 2-0 at MLG Anaheim 2012. That was awesome. I mean it wasn't when Hey Pro was in his prime. I don't even know if he was practicing. But me being like a really relatively unknown person, that was kind of my first splash.
Mhm.
But probably my biggest achievement was when excuse me. Um I say when I qualified for WCS America 2012. Um, I was working at Panera Bread at the time, and I was also going to school, so it was kind of tough to like be able to find a time to play in any of the qualifiers. And the first qualifier, no, the second, I lost to Inser in the finals on
Mm.
Plan. I lost to him, yeah, 2-0. And then the third, I got to the semifinals, and then one of the ones in the Beyond Gaming, I think it was like the first Beyond Gaming one, I got cheesed out in the semifinals, and my
Oh.
opponent in the finals wouldn't be like I definitely could have won,
Mhm.
and I couldn't play any other qualifiers other than those four, but the very last one, I in the best of ones, I had to go up against Gix, who was like a really
Yeah.
like top 16 Grandmaster Zerg at the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I beat him after like my one attack failed. Like it was just like a crazy comeback. I think he had 4 bases to my 2 on Ohana. So like
Oh.
it was just like a crazy game to beat him. And then I beat 2 other Grandmaster players in the best of threes. And then in the finals I played Xenocider. And what I
Oh
remember
man.
what I remember from those games were just like I don't actually remember like playing them. I just felt like I was just playing so well. Like I like watched myself play, and I kind of just crushed them both games. And then right when I won, I just like paused there for like a couple seconds, and it was the last play-in qualifier, and that got me a trip to Anaheim, California. And I've never been to California before, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I only won like $60, but I won the trip too. And after trying and trying, like getting so close to actually qualifying and then not being able to play any and winning the last one, like that was just the most satisfying thing I think of like playing StarCraft that I've had. And my brother was watching, and like I like grabbed my headset and like threw it across the room, and it broke. It did break, which kind of sucks out of all of it. But
But you have the money to replace it now.
yeah, exactly. But like the most satisfying part probably was that it was like it ran late and I had school in the morning. And my dad told me to go to bed. Like he was like telling me like go to bed, like this isn't important, shit like that.
Oh.
And then I actually won. And then I ran in his room and woke him up and told him I won. And he was like, "What, are you serious?" Blah blah blah. So like me, him, and my brother were all like pretty happy. And then I was just beaming for like a week. That's probably like the best feeling I've had, winning anything in StarCraft. Even though it wasn't like super significant, um, it was still just like probably my favorite achievement and like best feeling I've had because my brother was pretty proud of me, stuff like that. So I don't know. That was probably my best achievement, even though it's not
No,
a huge win.
I
But
should rephrase the question to be what do you consider to be your best achievement, not what do other people consider your best achievement.
yeah, that's what
a
I
good
consider
start.
my best achievement. Maybe not others. but that was definitely mine.
It's a good story, man. I don't think anyone will argue with you on it anymore. It's like, no, that wasn't your best achievement. But yeah, cool. So obviously coming up in the North American scene, it's been difficult for a lot of like up and coming players. Like, what kind of difficulties have you faced personally as a player?
Um, Actually getting respect from the community. That's probably honestly the hardest part, because like you could do well in something, but no one really respects you until you like beat a top level Korean or anything like that. Like that's actually getting recognized is honestly probably the hardest thing in the North American scene. You see maybe like two, three players a year get recognized. So I mean, it's definitely the toughest part because you have to be super consistent and then just be playing your best at all times. So that's probably the hardest thing.
Yeah, almost even more so than that. Like, I notice in qualifiers and stuff, you'll have like these kind of up and coming players like such as yourself like beat a well-known player like a well-known Korean, but I feel like it doesn't matter unless it happens like on the main stage of a big event or something.
Exactly. I mean, if you do it to win the qualifier, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's it, yeah. Oh, this guy beat him like
Hmm.
to qualify. But if you do it in like the round of 16 and no one sees it, whoop de doo. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
like no one really knows about it. So like
Hmm.
there's no talk about it, anything like that, except maybe for like the few minorities. But that's really it. Like you have to do it in front of like a crowd, and that's when it's at your hardest because you're playing like a seasoned player and you're doing it in front of all these people, and it's definitely hard. Like I got to the finals of the first WCS qualifier.
Hmm.
Or for season one of the
Yeah, yeah.
qualifiers, I got to the finals and lost 1-2 versus Cats. But all three games I was playing in front of like 10,000 plus people, so I was very very nervous playing against Cats. Like
Yeah.
I had game two won, like completely won. It was I did a proxy double 10 gate first
Oh.
three hatch before pool, or
Oh God.
he was planning to do three hatch before pool, and like I just completely choked. Like I should have seen his drones leave his main, and I did on my camera, but I wasn't looking at the time. Like on the replay, I
Oh
saw it,
man.
and like I didn't realize he had the gold. And oh, that was a one game I threw away. And then game three, I just was so like I just played very sloppy, didn't play my best, and it's just like hard. I mean, Katz isn't really like a he's a very very good player, but he's not like one of the best. So I
Yeah.
mean, but even qualifying for WCS would even get you recognized, and
Hmm.
I always feel like I choke in like high pressure situations.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to work on that. I mean, I don't really get nervous at lands or anything, but for like online tournaments, I seem to, which is weird. But
You actually strike me sort of as a more emotional player. Like I feel like you get pretty emotionally invested in the
yeah, I
games.
do. I do.
Um,
Like at LAN ETS this weekend, I did.
yeah, yeah.
I made the travel up to Montreal. It's
Hmm.
about a 7 hour bus ride. It wasn't that far, but I played and I beat Jig, and like Jig was ranked I think fourth in North America at the time. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was pretty scared, and I beat Hendrilisk in a pool play to qualify
Yeah,
for bracket play.
I
Yeah,
saw that.
and those two players I was like the most afraid of, and beating both of them like I was super happy. And after I beat Jig, I just got out, like took my headphones out and just like had the biggest fist pump ever. Like it was sweet. Like I get pretty invested into the game whenever I'm like in a match. I just try and keep like my composure until like I actually win.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, cool. But I guess that does make a lot of sense. It almost sort of reminds me of other like players who are really really strong, and they get really emotionally invested in the game. And like it makes the wins amazing. But like Liquid Hero comes to mind where he's
yeah,
like covering his face after winning a DreamHack. But then at the same time, there's also the other end of like when you're not doing well, it really it's painful or like you get
yeah.
nervous and all that kind of stuff. So I guess that does kind of makes a little bit of sense. But yeah, so I guess one other thing I want to ask about was, I mean, we talked a little bit about how getting that recognition and respect is kind of difficult. What are some of the things that you're doing to give yourself more visibility in the scene? I know that you've done things like you got the chance to participate in the MLG, the Ender's Game tournament. Like you helped like to promote yourself to get like the votes and everything to get into that. Like what other kind of stuff are you doing?
Actually, I've been starting to post on Reddit a lot more because that actually does help, believe it or not, when people like actually see your name and like you're interacting with the community. That helps people like, oh, this guy posted on Reddit before. I'm watching one of his games. Like that clicks in their head. Oh, like I can relate to him. Like it helps them remember who I am, basically.
Yeah.
And people from all regions go on Reddit, so it helps. Tweeting a lot more about the games, trying to play as best as possible. I haven't been really like, I don't make any like informational YouTube videos, nothing like that of the sorts. No guides, no replay packs. I've been streaming, so I guess that's kind of helping me branch out to more people if they happen to come across it. But I haven't really been doing too much. I really want my results to speak for itself, other than me tweeting.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I think
that's really it.
that's fair. I know that like one thing, for example, like if you get to qualify for WCS, I assume that you're still obviously trying to qualify for WCS. Like you get like the featured streamer kind of stuff. So I know that all that kind of stuff helps. But yeah, that sounds like you're doing most of the pretty standard stuff. And I really like what you were saying about the Reddit posting, because I think there are some people that also like I definitely have come with that association with like I know a giant Smurf. I would see him all over Reddit for a really long time, and then he started observing for MLG, and I was like, oh yeah, a giant Smurf. Yeah. I know him. He's posting on Reddit all the time.
There you go.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So I guess moving on to the next topic, which is your team, Deimos Esports. I mean, you joined them back in November after you kind of come back from your break. How has it been? Deimos Esports has been doing more and more stuff in the scene. They have the Deimos Esports Team League going on also. How's it been being as a player on the team?
I love it. It's pretty sweet. I remember when they were first trying, I got a random, like this is when I was practicing to like come back. I got a message on BattleNet, and it was from T-Bats, like asking me if I was interested in like trying out, joining a team. I played Guitar Cheese in the game, like to try out, because he was already on the team at the time.
Yeah.
I lost, but it was a pretty close game, and they were deciding between me and Shu, I believe, and they ultimately chose me. And then right when I joined the chat, they invited Bales right away. So I was like, oh my God, like Bailey's on the team with me. This is going to be awesome. So I mean, ever since I really joined, I've been extremely happy. It's the first team where I'm actually getting a salary. So, and it's not huge, but it definitely helps in any way, like helps me pay for everything in real life, like saving up to travel to events. Without my salary, I wouldn't have been able to go to Montreal. So, I mean, it's definitely helping me in a lot of ways, and I do like everyone on the team. So it's been a pretty good experience. They're all great players, and I've learned a lot since I've been here. So on Deimos, so it's pretty cool. And I like what they're doing with the DETL. It actually gives like, because before you only had WCS like to practice for, and now that we're playing every Friday and Sunday, like every week, it actually gives you motivation. Like, oh, I want my team to send me in this week. I want to have I want an all kill. So I mean, it actually gives you motivation to practice and play, which is it's really really helpful. Like, it drives players to actually like play more, and I just feel like that's better for the NA scene. Yeah. So I mean, I think it's a really good thing. And if anyone who's watching this doesn't tune into that, do it. It has some good games. You'll see some upcoming talent. So it's a pretty cool league.
Yeah, I'm gonna give a shout out because Deimos Esports Team League is awesome, and it actually. So there's one unfortunate time is that the Friday broadcasts are actually happening during Breaking Out broadcast, but you know what? The VODs for Breaking Out, they're on YouTube, so just go watch the Deimos Esports Team League. You get to watch awesome players like Siphonn playing it, as well as actually, like, I think Siphonn has been in, like, they have, like, top 5 highlights each week. Siphonn has been in one, Reborn has been in a couple, Fog has been in a couple. Like, I think everyone in, I want to say, like, almost everyone in
Krios
Out, yeah, almost everyone in Breaking Out is also playing in the Deimos Esports Team League, except for like I think one player, which I think is SWS. I think. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, Dust isn't in it. They're not good enough, I guess.
So. Oh, maybe season 2.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, cool. So that's really awesome. Like Deimos obviously working out really well, and I'm guessing that like one of the big advantages wasn't really practice partners because you were saying like that's not really one thing that I guess you're doing as much of, and I guess that also makes sense because you have a pretty busy schedule, so I imagine like practicing can be pretty difficult. But that's gonna be starting up. Cool. So I guess now we move on to the fun stuff, stuff that a lot of players kind of prefer to talk about, and that's the gameplay. So, did you ever play World? I know you played Call of Duty. Did you ever play World of Warcraft or like any RPG games?
Yeah. Funny story about WoW.
Uh-huh.
I got to level 85 when Cataclysm was out.
Yeah.
And I literally quit the next day. Like I never I haven't played since. Like I don't get the point of why
That's
I did
the funniest thing.
Yeah, like me and my friend grinded for like 3 weeks because we had like the triple experience thing.
Most people don't want to play World of Warcraft because
Until they're 85.
Until they're 85. Then they're like, okay, well now all these possibilities opened up.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm a weird case, I guess you could say.
You're all about progression, man. I get it.
There you go.
I get it. All right, so we're gonna play RPG games. Have you played Dungeons and Dragons? Maybe that'll be a better example. D&D.
When I was very little.
All right, very little. Close enough. All right. So we're gonna role play a little. Okay. We're gonna use our imagination to imagine a scene. Okay. So imagine we have this character spawning into the world. His name is Dustin Browder. All right. And Dustin Browder, he wakes up and he's on his way to work. All right. He has to go to work at Activision Blizzard. He's getting up, takes shower, does all that other stuff. You know, uses his rock deodorant and shampoo and all that other stuff. Opens the door and realizes there are a ton of destructible rocks just surrounding his house. None of them are knocked down, and they all have like 25 armor, and he does like 24 damage. So he basically can't get to work anymore.
Okay.
So they say, you know what, Activision Blizzard, they're like, you know, we have to find a replacement. They say, hey, this guy Kevin Siphonn seems like a pretty awesome, smart guy, very hardworking, has a very dedicated schedule. We're gonna just replace Dustin Browder with him. So, Kevin, you're now in this role play world, the head of Activision Blizzard, taking over Dustin Browder's role. So you are in charge of everything and anything StarCraft related. You can yell at David Kim to change the balance. You can talk to Kim Fan or whatever about like any of the community interaction. You can talk about change anything about WCS. So what do you change about the way that Blizzard is running their game?
Okay. I do like the format of WCS this season way more than last season. Last season was kind of like, oh, you didn't qualify this season. Like, good luck versus the Koreans next season. Even if you do well versus them, you're like only going to be a challenger for that season. So it literally was like a 2-season progression to get into Premier League. And I mean, I've never qualified anyway, but this season it's a lot easier to actually get in the challenger, which I think is like a great thing. I love the fact that it's region locked. I don't think it should be region locked more so than it already is. I think they changed that and it's working pretty well. The qualifiers still have to do with a lot of bracket luck, but then again, most tournaments, most qualifiers do. And if you actually can't even beat the players in the qualifier anyway, no matter what bracket you're seeded into, then you shouldn't deserve to qualify anyway. Like, no matter what bracket you're in, you should, if you're that good where you think you deserve to qualify, you would make it to the finals and you would win and qualify for the tournament. So, I mean, bracket luck, it's there. I got pretty lucky with my bracket, but like, even if I was placed in another bracket, I wouldn't expect anything else. But I mean, I like what they're doing with WCS. Game balance, I'm probably one of the few players who doesn't really complain about other races. I actually do think some things with Protoss are pretty strong right now. The Blink All-In, Mothership Core, the Nexus Cannon, it's pretty good at denying Terran aggression. But I mean, a good player can evade this. They force early overcharges, stuff like that. They know how to work around the energy. And I actually do think the nerf to the Mothership Core, the vision range, is actually really, really significant. Like, oh, excuse me, it's Chinese food, man. Holy shit. Holy shit. Oh, let me take a sip of water.
This is why you don't eat Chinese food, man.
Seriously, don't ever eat it. Never again.
Never again.
Never again.
Never
Um,
happens.
Blink all it really the power of the blink all in was actually heavily invested into the mothership core range. You could literally see where to blink in, when, like what defenses they have, like before you actually do the blink in. And now it's a lot more riskier. That didn't make any sense. It's
No,
a
it's
lot.
fine.
It's a lot
It's a riskier. It's riskier.
It's a lot riskier. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it kind of takes away some of the power. It makes it a little less unviable. So maybe Protosses won't do it as much, and then the meta will start to change, and then I feel like things will be figured out more so from there. Because a lot to do with balance. People like, let's say something comes out right away. Oh, it's imba, it's OP, blah 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 blah. They don't let time figure it out. It may take a couple months to figure something out, like what's the best way to respond to it, what's the best way to, deal with this. Like, can I do counter pressure here? Blah 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 blah. So I mean, time definitely plays a huge part in figuring out which is overpowered or whatnot. Just because it comes out right away and no one knows how to deal with it, then
Yeah.
doesn't mean in 2 weeks from now it might be the worst strategy in the world. Like, because everyone knows what to do versus it. But so I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't really change much balance wise. I do think Swarm Host, once you get that good like number,
Mhm.
that it's very very hard to win as Protoss, especially if you play it right. Kane is the one Zerg in NA right now who, if he gets past 4 bases with Swarm Hosts, you should just leave the game. F10N right there. Like, it's bullshit trying to play against Kane, because he likes playing. Like, he likes seeing Protoss players be miserable. So I mean, the thing, I just don't always.
The fire cake of America.
Basically, yeah, and that's actually, it's very abusive, but it's also one of the best things Zerg can do if they want to win versus Protoss, because Protoss has some very strong all-ins versus Zerg, which I utilize because I don't like playing versus Swarm Hosts. I mean, yeah, I forget where I was. Oh my god, yeah. But if you play against Kane at F10N, don't play him in like a 4 base plus Swarm Host game. But I wouldn't really change anything other than like maybe look at the Swarm Hosts, stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, anything involving Swarm Hosts, like even conversations about Swarm Hosts just become these elongated things where we start to wonder, where did we begin with this?
Exactly. Once I get that composition with like Vipers, Swarm Hosts, mass static defense, like
Yeah.
what do you do? Like,
I'm curious, what do you think about the Tempest change that they proposed? Do you think
You
it
know,
changes anything?
I mean, it changes how fast spores will die, but then again, Zergs can just SD drones build more spores behind them. So, I mean, yeah, it's very annoying to play against. So,
Yeah. Okay.
I'll have that figured out by the time the tournament starts. So if anyone watches this video, don't do it.
Awesome. Yeah. So I mean, we already know that by the time that the tournament starts, Siphon's gonna have the hard counter to Swarm Hosts. Gonna revolutionize the metagame.
Yep.
Call it the Siphon build.
I already have a couple of them.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to it. But actually, just kind of talking about your own play, what do you consider like your strengths and weaknesses in play? You mentioned in your application video that you're not afraid to all in or like cheese someone, but you're also not afraid to play out the macro game. So I will say that having talked with a lot of other players about you, a lot of them just say like Siphon, yeah, his timing attacks are really freaking scary. Like, would you say
Who said
that's
that?
pretty huh?
Who said that?
I'm not gonna disclose that. I'm gonna say at least 3 or 4 players have told me like you have really scary timing attacks, which honestly kind of goes in line with what you were saying in your application video, where it's like, you may know that I'm gonna all in you, but you can't hold it anyway.
Yeah. I mean, the best thing about, I feel like, my timing attacks, many all-in players, they have really, really good like force fields.
Yeah.
Players, like some people will be like, oh, force field's so easy. It's actually, you have to actually like know how many force fields you have and use them to the best, because once you run out versus Zerg, like, you're done. That's probably my best, and they're just very refined, my all-ins. I used to, when I was on Clarity, Mercy, he was like the graphic designer. He was Korean though, so like he knew a bunch of all these Korean all-ins. And I kind of just like refined the Immortal All-In like when it was at its peak, and just really refined all these all-ins. And I've made a couple up. I do kind of my own wonky stuff sometimes, but yeah, my timing attacks are probably my biggest strong suit, you could say. But I do have macro builds.
Yeah.
Especially versus Zerg. I like to switch it up. One game I'll be super aggressive. The next game I'll sit in my base.
Yeah, I've seen you like really switch that up.
So I like to mess with the Zerg's head a little bit, because if they're playing an all-in player, I'll cut drones at 65 instead of 72 or whatever they like to go up to. And then yeah, that's 7 less drones they have that whole time when they're making units. So that adds up over time. And while I'm taking a third, being greedy, if they like expect an all-in, if I deny the scouting correctly. So I mean, I do like to switch it up. Terran, I could all-in macro, and then PvP. I like PvP a lot. It might be weird because not many Protosses say that.
You and me are like nobody seems to like PvP. Like, this is like the most beautiful matchup that exists.
It's great.
Like,
it's great. It's like it's like chess. Like if you move here, like you have to, it's cool. So I do like that matchup a lot, because if I'm playing someone with the same race as me and I win, I feel like it's that more satisfying that I beat them at like, and they had no advantages, I had no advantages, 50-50 going in, like who's gonna take it? So whenever I win, I like winning PvP the most, especially versus very good players. It's pretty satisfying sometimes, and PvZ is satisfying too. Actually, they're all satisfying. What I'm saying. But yeah, I do like PvP. That's probably one of my favorites. PvZ is my best, and PvT shit. So there you go. To put it simple, yeah, that's it. I'm pretty bad at it, surprisingly, compared to other Protosses.
Yeah, it is sort of interesting. I know most Terrans feel like Terran versus Protoss is worst matchup at the moment. So that is pretty interesting to hear. But yeah, so I guess kind of moving on, like, do you consider yourself to have like any kind of rivals? I know that you said like you have some friends, like say Bales and like Saravati, who you would talk to back from the Clarity Gaming days. Do you have any like rivals that you try and like stay on par with, either friendly or like just people that maybe you don't like very much?
Well, my one rival, I mean, we're not really rivals, but it's just like every time we play, we always bicker a little bit, like kind of like sarcastically, is Kane, and he's a lot better than me. And I just always feel like, if I could take a game off Kane, then I could really beat any Zerg in North America. So like we played like 6 games in a row on ladder the other day, and he beat me 4-2. And then he's just talking about like my all-ins and like, I'm surprised you didn't all in this game. And I'm just like, we just bicker back and forth, so it's pretty funny. I don't dislike him at all. I think he's a great player. He's a funny guy. He's really my only rival, I think you could say. I mean, I don't really have any rivals. But one player who does beat me all the time, Soppy. So I mean, Soppy beats me a lot.
I can see Soppy doing well at StarCraft.
Yeah, I'm like all time. If you look on the Liggy log, my Liggy log's horrible, by the way. Like it's trash. But like if you look on him, I'm like 0-8. Me versus him, I'm like 0-8. So like he beats me all the time. So yeah, I'd definitely say he's one of my rivals.
You need to get some tips from Saravati, man.
Yeah, right. Dude knows what he's doing and everything.
Oh my god, Saravati! I remember during Breakout Season 1, Saravati submitted like to his like, because you submit the replays, right? So I think his PvZ and his Awesome Game were both against Suppy, and like one of them he just like completely jukes out Suppy, like into sending his entire. It was on a what was the map? Akalon Wastes, I think, the one where you have like that in base like. Third expansion.
With the rocks, yeah.
So he like jukes Suppy's entire army down there, and then like double time warps the ramp when they're all like sitting at the bottom over there, and the rock like kills off the rocks, runs his army up, and then just sentry forces the entire army out and just like murders him.
Yeah, man, Saravati, he's great.
And the other game, he like hides a nexus and recalls his probes.
Yeah, I saw that game. I saw that game. He's the man. I love that guy. Like he's such a smart player. Like everything he does is just like so like innovative. It's just like I learned
Oh,
so much
God.
from him. My PvP now, we talked about it like a couple months ago. I haven't talked to him too much recently, but like we talked about PvP after we played on ladder, and like he barely plays because he's super busy with
Yeah,
school and
yeah.
stuff like that. And like he beat me like 2 games in a row, and I'm like, dude, like I like your build, blah 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 blah. He's like, yeah, and then we just kind of talked over like the thought process behind it. Like he does this when he sees this, like
Yeah.
it's pretty reactionary based on what he does, and talked about that, and that helped me out a lot. It brought my PvP up to around 50% to I think it's at like 63 right now.
Nice.
So my PvP is looking solid because of Cerebody. So can't thank him enough.
That's
And
awesome, man.
yeah.
I have to ask just because I have a personal bias of being a Protoss player, so I always want to learn more about Protoss. Like, do you feel like you get that more? I know like the biggest complaint that I hear about PvP is people who are uneducated. All right, they're uneducated. I'll say that.
Okay.
Feel like it's a bit of a like coin toss matchup. Like it's all down to the openings. Like, do you feel like there's more consistency in trying to get to the late game PvP? Or do you feel like there's still like no matter what kind of opening there is for the most part, there are certain things that you can do to like still stay on par with your opponent?
No matter what opening you do, you could still stay on par with your opponent. No doubt in my mind that's true. Just because, I mean, maybe the only thing is like, oh, let's say someone goes Phoenix and you make an Oracle right away.
Oh yeah.
And then, yeah, I mean, that's really the only thing I see where it's like, oh, wow, like I'm behind. But you could still come back from that,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. So that's not really too detrimental. I think really the Mothership Core really helps the matchup out in terms of coin flippiness. But I do think, let's say someone goes Stargate and the other person goes DT. Oh, you might think on paper someone has a lead, blah 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 blah. But I feel like if you react correctly, you shouldn't have a problem. Like if you've refined your play and like know what to do in that situation,
Yeah.
you can still come out with a even outcome regardless of what builds you do, what people think counters what. So I think it's really just based on like players' decision making. It's not really so much coin flippy.
I'm so glad to hear that, man. I'm really tired of people saying like PvP is a terrible matchup. I'm so tired of seeing it. I'm like, no. I wish the GSL round of 16 was all Protoss because I would learn so much.
Oh yeah, no, I can't wait to watch the VODs.
Oh my god.
Of all those games.
Yeah, it's gonna be beautiful. But let's kind of move on to the final topic, which is a little bit more revolving around, I guess, your future in StarCraft and life in general. And I guess the first question is, what exactly is your goal in StarCraft? Like, what do you want to achieve? Is just like make it into WCS Challenger League? Do you want to make it into Premier League? Do you want to win the GSL after moving to Korea and become like the next Bonjwa? Like, where does your ambition in StarCraft end?
I kind of just want to do the best I can while I have time to play. While I'm still young, I just want to, like build myself as not just like learn a lot like in game wise about myself or anything like that. Just like learn a lot about myself personally. Like achieving my goals, what I've set out. Like I do want to make it in WCS. That's probably my biggest goal at this time. I don't know if I can because I'll probably be working on some of the days of the qualifier because I work at night. Hopefully I could try and rearrange my schedule around that. But I do want to make it in the WCS. That's probably one of the biggest goals of mine. And really just have fun with while I still can playing the game. That's probably what I want to do most. I mean, I do also want to like win a offline tournament, whether it's huge, whether it's small, I just want to like establish myself so as people will remember me a year from now if I like decide to quit playing.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So
Cool. Have you ever considered going full-time into esports or pro gaming? Like, is it ever something you will consider?
I mean, it's always something maybe I've wanted to do. I remember when I visited when I was on Clarity. I visited the house and I was there for 3 days. And one day I played like 64 games or something like that.
Oh my god.
And it was just fun having no other like concerns other than playing the game. That kind of led me on to maybe possibly wanting to play full time, but like I can't really just give up what I'm doing now to pursue this. I kind of just want to like the only time I would consider it is after school,
Mm-hmm.
um, and kind of stuff like that. Like I don't think I'd be able to leave my job and my steady income to put everything out on the table just to, try and become the best player I could be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I like money, so StarCraft players, like, they don't really have much of it until they win something.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's never really been one of my dreams and aspirations to play full time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, possibly when I'm done school, stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not too sure.
Yeah, something that we actually haven't really talked too much about is, I guess we mentioned like briefly that you're studying in school, obviously, to pursue an engineering degree. Do you kind of know what you want to do if you're not going to do StarCraft full time, like after you graduate?
I'm looking to continue into mechanical engineering. I really like working with things, seeing how they work, putting things together, stuff like that. It just seems like something I would enjoy the most
Mm-hmm.
out of like, because I don't want to go in the business. I don't want to do any of that boring stuff. I like hands-on things, stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. So I like being able to like teach myself things, stuff like that. So I'm gonna continue on with engineering, anything really like hands-on, like I was saying.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I always end every episode of Breaking Out with the interviews asking these two questions. So, first question is, I mean, you yourself have already kind of talked a lot about the achievements you've had in StarCraft. You've obviously shown that you're very emotionally invested into it. Like I honestly think that you have some great social skills, like in terms of like marketing yourself as a player and everything. You've beaten players like Hello Kitty, Trimaster, Kawhi Rice, who are really really solid players. Why don't more people know about you in the North American scene?
Um, they don't know about me because I haven't proven myself for them to actually like recognize me as like a like great good player. I feel like it's more so my fault than anyone else's. I haven't shown the results where like, oh, this guy won this. That's
Mm-hmm.
how I know. Like I haven't shown those results. I've maybe done well in local things, a couple online cups. I won like two play-ins when they were around, but like other than that, I haven't really proved myself to the community, and that's why they don't know me. Not because like it's the community's fault or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more so my fault for not like giving the best games, not performing when I should be performing, stuff like that. So that's probably it.
Okay, and then the second question is, where do you sort of see yourself in 2 years, ideally? Are you? I imagine that you're still going to be working on your degree, but like, I guess, are you at a different job at that point, or maybe you're not working anymore and you're just full time into school? Maybe you're investing more time into StarCraft or less time in StarCraft. Like, where do you sort of see yourself?
Well, fall 2014, I'm going to be transferring to university. I'm going to probably go to West Virginia University. I applied
Nice.
3 days ago. So I'm looking to go there. A couple of my really, really good friends go there. And they're a decent engineering school too. Pretty good.
Yeah.
So I feel like that'll probably be the path I choose. I'm going to try and continue gaming while I'm there. Um, but I also might have a job to help pay for tuition, stuff like that. So I'll probably be there in 2 years. Then again, who really does know? Uh, Time will tell. I guess I could say.
Yeah. What about esports wise? Where do you see yourself?
Esports wise, I still want to be involved. I'm not 100% sure if it's going to be as a player. I'm not sure if I'll have the time. Um, Once I get to university, I'm not sure if my roommate will like me with my loud with my loud fucking keyboard. So I mean, it's really just all very situational. Like, I'm not really sure, esports wise. I'm definitely still gonna be watching though. I feel like I'm gonna be watching for my whole life. Like this is just I've loved video games ever since I was a little kid. So I mean, I always feel like I have some sort of connection to them, and still talk to some of the friends I've met throughout this whole process since then. So I'll definitely always be like a part of it, whether it's a viewer or anything like that.
Yeah, definitely. But with that being said, that's pretty much actually the end of the interview. So, Kevin, I want to thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute delight to have you on.
Yep.
Time actually kind of flew by. I think we may have gone actually
An hour, yeah.
potentially for one of the longest ones one of the longest interviews.
Yeah, this actually
right
went very quick. I was
I
expecting
know.
this to be longer.
Oh my God, time flies, man. You're
Yeah.
a very good talker. I could listen to you for a while. But did you have any shoutouts that you want to give? And I will note actually for anyone watching this on Twitch, all of the links that Siphon over here wants to give is going to be in the Twitch chat. If you're watching this on twitch.tv/FearDragon64, if you're watching this over on YouTube, youtube.com/FearDragon64. All the links will be just down below the video. So go ahead and click on all those. Follow them on Twitter, Twitch, etc. Siphon, go ahead and list them away.
All right, shout out to Deimos first of all. Very good team. Go watch the DETL if you have time, and you should have time because it's something you want to watch. Shout out to all my friends on Clarity Gaming. Shout out to Mark Leonardo, top 3 sex god North America. Shout out to Saravati. Shout out to Bales. Shout out to all my teammates, Elige. My brother who just opened the door, interrupted my shout out. Shout out to him. Shout out to my family.
Oh my
Shout outs to everyone. Yeah. Shout out to Fear Dragon.
Oh, thank you.
No problem.
And then shout out to Onage, right? Sponsor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Go buy your Demo shirts on Onage. They're pretty sick. They're like a 3/4 baseball tee, and it's honestly like the coolest jersey ever. It's made out of some like real comfy material. The hoodies are sick too. So yeah, go buy them. They're awesome. Yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah, shout out to like Reborn. He's a really good player in this tournament.
Oh yeah.
Let me see all the other players in this tournament. All right, shout out to Reborn, Hendrilisk, Henry. I showed with him in a LAN ETS.
Andrew beat him.
But yeah, there you go. That's a lot of shout outs, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, you can give a shout out to whoever you want, man.
There you go.
Give a shout out to
I think I'm
Obama if
done.
you want.
Obama, yeah. Why the fuck not, man? All right, that's it. Yeah, just one of my shout outs.
All right. Well, that is going to be pretty much it for the show, guys. So hopefully, if you guys enjoyed this episode of Breaking Out, be sure to follow the channel over here on twitch.tv/FearDragon64. You'll catch all the live broadcasts for the VODs. That's happening at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. This is obviously a Thursday broadcast. If you are watching this live, it should be obvious. If you're watching this on YouTube, it should also be obvious because the VODs are also uploaded on Thursday. So, also, you can go ahead and tune in tomorrow for Friday, and you'll actually get to see Siphon's games being played out in each of the 3 different matchups. So it'll be his Protoss versus Zerg, Protoss versus Terran, Protoss versus Protoss. It's not just all talk then. You get to Siphon can actually prove that he's not just like some Bronze League player who's like shit talking. It was like, yeah, I beat Hendrilisk, I beat like, Hello Kitty. He's actually pretty damn good. So definitely tune in for that tomorrow. Or you could also tune in for the Deimos Esports Team League and then watch the VODs for this tomorrow, I should say. And then on Saturday, if you guys enjoy that, be sure to tune in then, because that is going to be the day that we'll actually get to sit down with Siphon, and we're going to go over all of those games in depth and get his thoughts on it. So it's going to be really, really awesome. It's always a ton of fun because I learned so much during those little sit-down analysis times, recording things. But guys, that is going to be pretty much it. My name is Fear Dragon. This has been Breaking Out. Hope to see you all tomorrow. Have a wonderful Thursday.